This is a free sample of the book, The Financial Red Pill by Cairo Copeland. The first half of this book is posted right here on YouTube, free for everyone to listen to. If you like this content and want to hear or read the rest, or want to listen to it free of ads, visit reinventideal.com/finance. The book is available on Kindle, paperback, and Audible at reinventideal.com/finance.
Chapter 8. How to survive the worst jobs market in history and not lose your mind. It's at least the worst jobs market in history for guys, because right now everything is all geared towards increasing the number of female employees. I've seen it all over corporate America. All these companies are saying, oh, we want more women working for us, and we want them in more leadership roles. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not against that. My only concern is when it comes at the expense of guys, and when it's no longer about meritocracy, where the best candidate gets the job. No, what it is now is it's just which person is going to make us look more woke. That's what I got a problem with. So for that and a few other reasons, it is one of the worst job markets in the world for men. And today I'm going to show you how to hack this job market. Now, hopefully you've avoided the mistake of pissing away your most productive years at a scam institution brought to you by the education industry. But whether you've gone or not, the next step is finding a job, because we all need to put food on the table. I can't stand these gurus out there that say, oh, you shouldn't work a job because job stands for just over broke. Motherfucker, what are we supposed to do? I mean, how are we going to invest in real estate if we got no working capital? And it's usually those real estate guys are saying, oh, you shouldn't own a job. I tell you what, like most of these guys, they have no idea what it's like to live life as a normal human being that doesn't have access to money lenders, that doesn't have access to capital partners. They have no idea what it's like to be that way. Anyways, I'm getting off topic here. The sad thing is that we're told to pick out a career before we're even old enough to drink. It goes further than that. When you're a kid, almost every adult asks you what you want to be when you grow up. Like we have the frame of reference to even answer that intelligently. And this further reinforces a social imperative that a job is the only way to make money. It's now drilled into you before you're even old enough to know what a job is like. Your choice of career is a vital choice to your life. Not just in how much money you will make, but 40 of your waking hours weekly will be spent doing it. It will seem more like 60 hours a week, actually. So it not only needs to pay you well, but you would also like to enjoy it, too. In the old days, jobs weren't so difficult to get. But because of the education industry's push to stuff everyone into college, the pool of job applicants is oversaturated with the overeducated. It is an employer's market for labor. And this is why they demand you have a ridiculous amount of education and experience for an entry-level job. They can get away with demanding it. Even in times of low unemployment, the employers are still able to abuse their hiring power. Just because there are lots of jobs available, that doesn't mean they are jobs that people want. The fact is, America never recovered from the Great Recession. I call it the Bush-Obama recession. Bush started it, Obama continued it all throughout his presidency. Now, I'm not trying to get into politics here because, you know what, I didn't like either one of those guys. I didn't like any of their predecessors, and I didn't like any of their successors. So don't say, oh, you're a Democrat, or oh, you're a Republican. Fuck both of them. As far as I'm concerned, they both suck cock. I'm getting off topic again. Sorry. During that time, the Bush-Obama recession, many students graduating in the middle of it with their bachelor's degrees saw that there were no jobs waiting for them, or learned far too late that their degrees were useless. So they stayed in school, took on additional debt, and pursued their master's or a different bachelor's degree, and after the recession ended, they found themselves competing with double the amount of college graduates for the same jobs. But the availability of those jobs didn't double with the amount of applicants, and the necessity, the desperate need for getting any job was doubled because they stayed in school twice as long and now they got twice the amount of student debt. The new president takes over in the middle of the recession. Then, when the new president took over, Mr. MAGA Hat, it was very clear that he was unfriendly to illegal aliens who often did the jobs that Americans didn't want to do. So the illegals stopped coming here, and now the jobs they used to do are vacant. And employers realized that in order to get Americans to do it, they had to pay more than the slave wages they paid to illegals. And of course, they didn't want to do that. So instead, what they ended up doing was distributing the undesirable work to everyone already working. That's why even today, in a credentialed job with a respectable title, you'll find yourself doing bitch work that you don't want to be doing. The work that an intern could be doing. Further, being male doesn't make it any easier for you. Males are often tasked with doing the dangerous jobs that no one else wants. What about the guys that busted their asses off studying in school to avoid this dangerous work? What's available to them? Office bitch work. The employers are still drunk with the power they attained post-2008. This power was wielded through the most useless of all corporate departments, human resources. What kind of skills and specialized knowledge are needed to work in HR? None. When interviewing you, you'll find they often ask the most ridiculous questions like, "Tell me about a time that you went above and beyond for a customer." Like anybody carries stories like these around in their back pockets so that they can easily recall them when necessary. One particular incident I experienced was with the financial company T. Rowe Price. Yeah, I'm calling them out specifically because they were such cocksuckers to me. I was interviewing for a job that I was already doing at another firm. But they asked me the pointless question, "Can you tell me about a time when you went above and beyond for a customer and made a lasting impact?" And to that question, I just answered, "It happens often, but I talk to at least 40 customers a day, so I can't tell you the specific details of just one. Because I don't sit around in my cubicle and write down the stories from each phone call I take." Needless to say, that didn't satisfy the morons at T-Row, so I didn't get the job. This is the kind of stupidity you have to deal with in the job hunt. The best tactic to take is to make up an incredible story where you look like an amazing hero and have that story at the tip of your tongue. I mean, after all, they have no way to verify it. But isn't lying wrong? Yes. But you're not dealing with honest people to begin with. Don't give them the courtesy of your honesty because they won't give it to you. You've seen it in the job descriptions. They make it sound like it's the most meaningful, stimulating work you could find. It's the most awesome job in the world. But when you get the job, you realize it's nothing but bitch work that's nothing like the description. They lied to you, so lie right back to them. The abuse by employers goes further than just ridiculous interview questions and requiring 20 years experience with a master's degree for an entry-level job. Some applicants have even reported that prospective employers have made them submit their social media passwords to the company for investigation. I wish I was making that up, but no, it's true. So, is there any way to get past all this HR bullshit? Yes, there is one way. And that's offer a cash prize to any person that helps you get the job. If there's someone already working at the job you want, offer them a cash prize to help you get hired. Let me illustrate this a little bit better. Let's say you wanted to work for a specific company, like a property management company, and you were qualified to work for them. You just couldn't get your foot in the door. What you could do is go to their offices or headquarters and leave notes or ads in the bathroom that said something like, "If anyone already working here can help me get a job here, I will give you half of my first 2 paychecks. Here's my email address, and here's my phone number." Or, how about if you're a college graduate looking for a job in the field you studied for, like engineering? Because we know that there is no shortage of engineers and aspiring engineers out there, and that's why competition for these jobs is high. If all you do is send out resumes to prospective employers, you're really not doing much more than what millions of other engineering graduates are doing. But if you were to go to a public forum like Craigslist and make a posting that says, "Attention all engineers," and that you would give them a cash prize from your first paycheck if they got you a job at the firm, then you have an unfair edge over everyone else. You have someone who's already got their foot in the door, getting you past the other gatekeepers. It's easy money for them to make. All they have to do is say something to the hiring manager like, "Hey, I know this person. They'd be a good asset." and then hand them your resume. If it doesn't work, they didn't lose anything. But if it did work, you got the job and they got a cash prize. So everyone wins. I'm not saying cheat. I mean, you should always get jobs based on your own merits. But the problem is that your merits may never even be noticed because far too many other people have their resume on top of yours in the stack. And the chances of the hiring manager getting to yours are low if the ones above you are just as good as yours. You can take your chances by going it alone or have someone on your side who can increase your chances. It's like buying yourself an insider. This is the best job hunting tactic out there that I've seen that will at least get you an interview. But after the interview, here's an additional thing you should do that will give you an edge. Send a thank you note to the person that interviewed you for the job. I know, I don't like doing it either. I don't enjoy doing this, but it's a good thing to do. I mean, that's probably some pompous cocksucker that interviewed you that doesn't even know what they're doing. You probably do their job a lot better than them. But still do this. Even if the interview didn't go well, this might help change their perception of you. And the reason for this is that one thing in today's job market that makes you attractive to employers is how well you can fluff their nuts. I recommend sending both snail mail and email because email will be immediate, and your name will be right in front of the person hours after the interview was over, and make sure they remember you at least for that day. Then, when they get a snail mail thank you letter, they'll definitely never forget you. So, what do you say in the thank you note? That's the most important thing. You want it to accomplish a few things. You obviously want to thank the person for the opportunity to interview. It's a good idea to revisit some of the important things that occurred during the conversation, the parts where you looked qualified or sounded really good. And you can use this letter to clarify any information you need to check on or get back to them about. And you also want to re-emphasize your skills or qualifications. You can use the last paragraph as a chance to state, this job is exactly what I'm looking for because I enjoy doing X, Y, and Z, and I've had past experience doing X, Y, and Z. The people conducting these interviews most likely have short memories. Remember, human resources is a department for people with no skills and no brains. So sending a thank you note is your best chance to make yourself stand out from all the others who want the same position. Another thing we want to talk about when it comes to today's work environment, today's job environment, is the right way to raise your earnings. Suppose you already have a job where you like the work you're doing, but you're not being paid the amount you know you deserve. How do you handle that? You work your butt off enough already and your employer is probably underpaying you? Well, that's them being drunk with power again. There are two scenarios under which you could attain a raise. One is if you're very good at your job, and another is if you're dramatically underpaid. Let's start with the first scenario. If you're a good employee that performs your duties very well, the worst thing you could do is march into your boss's office and say, I've been very good at my job, so I think a raise is appropriate. When you make demands of someone else, you are evoking what psychologists call reactionary resistance, or reactance. Ever had someone else tell you, you must never do this, and you automatically want to do it? That's reactance. It works the opposite way with demands. When you demand something, the other person automatically wants to deny it. They start thinking up reasons why they should not give you a raise. So you figuratively back them into a corner, putting them under pressure. And people don't like to be put under pressure, especially employers who feel they should be the ones applying pressure onto their employees, not vice versa. There is a more intelligent way to do this. Think about the stakes you're setting. If you're an hourly associate, an extra $2 an hour compounds over the length of time you plan to be at that job into hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Is that not worth spending more time and focus into strategically getting that raise? If you're a salaried employee, we're talking about $5,000 to $10,000 for the year. So a smarter method is well worth the time it takes to formulate. A better way to do this is to say, I don't want to be just another employee. I want to do an extraordinary job for you in the company in the next 3 to 6 months. And if my performance is extraordinary, I'd like to discuss compensation. Now, do you see what you're doing differently here? Instead of demanding something for yourself by bragging about yourself, you're making a negotiation that is mutually beneficial. You're offering to do something that helps the company tremendously, and that's all they really care about in the end, not your salary needs. Also, look at that last sentence again. I mean, who can disagree with that? You're giving your boss a way out, because if you don't perform extraordinarily, they don't have to increase your pay. All of the pressure is now on you to do an amazing job. Your negotiation power is increased when you replace "I'd like to do an extraordinary job" with "I'd like to be able to do X, Y, and Z." List specific things you think you could do that your employer would like to have done. The more specific you are, the more measurable your results can be, and the more leverage you have on your side. If you say something like, "I'd like to keep costs down by 10%, increase revenues by 15%, and productivity by 12%, you're showing that you're not just another employee. There's one more step to this process. Keep checking in with your boss every 2 weeks or so. Keep them up to date with your progress in achieving these goals. It's okay to brag in these circumstances because the news you're delivering is news they'd want to hear. Like, "Hey, we got this done and we did that too. It was a very productive shift. So we're on track to raise productivity by 12%. When you make this a regular thing, your boss will start feeling the pressure to write you that check. Now, there's a large percentage of people out there that are just being underpaid. First step you should take is to find out if you yourself are being underpaid. And you can do that at these 3 websites: payscale.com, salary.com, and glassdoor.com. There you can figure out exactly how much you should be paid based on your geographic location, field of work, experience, and sometimes even the exact company you work for. People tend not to negotiate because they either don't know how or they feel they're lucky enough to have what they already got. But how often do you feel stressed by your job? How much does it bother you that you are trading so much of your precious and limited time to make someone else rich? Money comes and goes, but time is gone forever. If you're going to spend it working for someone else, you need to make sure you're being paid what you're worth. Just like before, you need to be respectful in bringing this to your boss's attention. He probably already knows, but if you kick down his office door with the data that proves your case and shove it in his face, he's not going to give in. Here's how you do it. Say this exactly: "I want you to know that I really enjoy working here. Just in the last week, I've made these contributions," and specifically name them, "and we're on track to do even better. But one thing I'd like to discuss with you is my compensation. I did some research, and it seems that I'm being underpaid. I pulled some numbers from salary.com and such, and what I found is that someone with my level of experience and in my position should be paid about 15% more. Now, I do enjoy working here, but I think we could make some adjustments so there's a number that's fair for both of us." Each sentence was carefully crafted, and here's how. The start off is very positive, talking about accomplishments, contributions, and ones to be made in the future. Use phrases like, "It seems that I'm being underpaid," not aggressive phrases like, "I'm being shortchanged." After that, it shows the data that backs up the allegation using salary.com and qualifying yourself for the money that the research says you should be making. And finally, the last sentence lightly phrases the demand. "I think we could make some adjustments," instead of, "Give me more money, you greedy bastard." And after you finish saying that final sentence, the implied demand, that is when you must shut up. Do not utter another word. Shut the fuck up. The pressure will then be on your boss to speak next. The numbers and data you presented him with have already made him uncomfortable, and now the silence will make him even more so uncomfortable. The first thing you can expect is your boss to say no and justify it by telling you times are tough or the economy's bad. It's very typical for your boss to say that, so here's what you say back to him, and very calmly and respectfully. "I certainly understand that the economy is tough. It's tough on me too, but I've been making extraordinary contributions, and I'd like to be compensated. As of right now, I'm not even being compensated at the average rate of someone with my experience level." Now after you say that, you shut up again. Let your boss be the next one that speaks. See, the economy being bad, it's not really your problem. That's the company's problem. In addition to your compensation is most likely just pennies in comparison to a company's overall expenses. It's their job to retain you, because training someone new would be very expensive. And most employers don't want to do it. They don't want to train anyone, so what they do is they'll hire someone and just pay for the mistakes that they make because they were too lazy and too cheap to train them. Negotiations are not supposed to be adversarial. They're supposed to be cooperative. You don't say, "You promised me more money," and they say, "The economy's bad," or "You underperformed," or give you any other reason they can think of. Instead, just say something like, "We're in the right ballpark, but just a little far apart. I'm sure we can find a number that works for both of us. I want to make sure we have something that's fair." I mean, who can argue with fair? In order to optimize your negotiation skills, you need to practice. You need to hear yourself saying them, and determining how to say them best will help prevent you from getting steamrolled by your boss, who's probably already very good at negotiating. It's also a good idea to record yourself practicing, see how you're standing and looking. Make sure you're not blinking too much or gazing all over the place. See, a boss can tell when you're afraid underneath or a total mess on the inside, and is not going to bargain favorably with you when they sense that. Negotiation's a vital skill, because what you settle for is exactly what you'll get. Once you know how to negotiate effectively, then you know for sure the only person in control of your life is you. A few things to keep in mind. Don't bring up personal reasons for wanting a raise. Saying that your expenses have increased will not help you, because that's not your employer's problem, that's your problem. While negotiating, you need to be explaining why you're so valuable to the company. The way pay scales work is that they are based on employees' contributions, not their needs. So only use reasons that are related to the business and how valuable your contributions are to it. Don't compare your pay with coworkers. Yeah, it's very aggravating to see someone else do a half-assed job and get more money than you, who does a whole-ass job. But managers will not respond well to you bringing this up. It sounds childish and makes you look like you're not a team player. Base your pay requisites on the averages for your position, and then build a case for why you've earned an increase in your compensation. Explain to your manager why your company is doing better because of you. Keep a list of details that support you. If you kept a file folder of compliments you've received from customers, or if you can show hard data that you've kept costs down by X dollars, or your productivity is 2 times the average rate, you've got facts on your side, and you can't argue with facts. Don't threaten to quit if you don't get what you want. Even if you can't live off the pitiful earnings that your employer's paying you, it's better not to say that out loud. It's better to keep that as an implication. Managers will be wondering what you're thinking if you just leave the room saying, "All right." They also understand that they risk losing you if they can't give you what you ask for when you're asking for it. Rehearse what you're going to say ahead of time. It's not easy to ask for more, but it's easy for your boss to say no. Managers are trained in dealing with unsatisfied employees, but employees are not trained in dealing with stubborn managers. It's a nerve-wracking thing sometimes. The normal fear that comes into play is that your boss will react badly or think of you as a moocher from then on. But it's perfectly normal and absolutely okay to ask for one when you're performing at the top of the line. Some additional advice. In addition to how to get the job and how to raise your earnings once you've had it, I've included a handful of extra advice here. These are things that I wish I knew when I started working. No one takes young people seriously. When you're young, it doesn't matter how smart you are, how great your work ethic is, or how awesome your resume sounds. The fact of the matter is that no one will take you seriously just because you're young. The other young people have already ruined your reputation for you. Other young people are lazy. They pull no-call, no-shows, or they come to work drunk. So all employers will assume you'll do the same. And they'll make this apparent in how they treat you by giving you bitch work and refusing to pay you a living wage. But there is a way to handle this. Use that to your advantage. Since they already assume you're worthless just for being young, experiment and take risks. If your boss is giving you demeaning tasks and ignoring the better capabilities you clearly have, go over his head. Go to his boss with your talents and show them what you've got. If the company is set in their ways and those ways are clearly foolish, as they often are, show them evidence of it. Show them printouts of what customers are saying about the company online that contradicts what management believes. Because the worst that can happen is that you lose a shitty job that underpaid you and didn't take you seriously anyway. Lie on your resume. I'm not proud to promote dishonesty. I would prefer a world where all our affairs are governed by truthfulness, but that's the perfect world we were promised and not delivered. In the world that I live in, employers lie to us all the time. You've seen it before in job descriptions where they paint the job as some amazing opportunity doing meaningful work. But when you get the job, you realize it was all bullshit and you're only doing the tasks that management is too lazy to do. Once I was promoted to a supposedly prestigious position in a financial services firm and was told I'd only be having intelligent conversations with the ultra high net worth clients discussing complex portfolio strategies. Instead, what I spent all day doing was placing orders for clients that were too fucking dumb and too fucking lazy to place the orders themselves online. The prospective employer has no way to verify what you put on your resume. You see, when they call up your previous employers, the only questions they're allowed to ask are, did he work there for those time periods? What is the documented discontinuation reason? Is he eligible for rehire? Does he pose any sort of threat to anyone? And that's it. They're not allowed to ask about previous pay grades, previous duties, or responsibilities. So dress that resume up and make it look like you're gold. Always have options. In my first book, Never Ghosted Again, I wrote about the importance of having options when it comes to women. The more options you have with women, the less desperate you act, the more attractive you appear, and the more that women want you. The same is true with employers. The more options you have for employment, the less you are willing to settle for what little they offer you. The more power you have during negotiations, the less shit you need to take from them for fear that there's nothing else out there better for you. So always have options. Don't let them force you to feign satisfaction just for the fact that you already have the job. When one of my clients inherited real estate property, they often asked me if it was better to just sell the property or try to rent it. And here's how that conversation went each time. I'd say, how much is the property worth? And the client would say, $200,000. Okay, well, if you had $200,000 in cash right now, would you buy this property? And they would say, probably not. And I'd tell them, well, then you have your answer. Sell it. I was trying to show them that already owning the property was irrelevant in the decision because it wasn't an investment they would have taken up to begin with. They were only considering making it an investment just for the fact that they already owned it. But they had no idea what difficulties went into being a landlord of the property, such as management, maintenance, and collecting the rent. In the same way, the fact that you already have a job doesn't tie you down to it unquestionably. Always ask yourself each day that if you were offered this job today, would you take it? If yes, great. If not, go look for other options. When you have other options, you can at least more effectively negotiate the terms of your current job to make it one you'd like to keep. Networking is bullshit. Everyone is told to increase their network by going to networking events. You stand around in a room filled with a bunch of professionals, hand them your business cards, and take theirs, hoping that when the need for your services arises, they'll call you. Most of the time, they just lose your business card. I mean, it's just like flyers. You know, everybody hand you a flyer. What they should be saying to you is, here, throw this away from me, will you? The fact of the matter is that opportunities are not floating around like clouds in the sky, and they do not come looking for you. All you're going to find at these networking events is other people hoping to get the same thing out of it that you are. Business. But no one, and I mean absolutely no one, is bringing business to these events. Don't believe me? Well, it's not me saying it. It's the Harvard Business Review. The same can also be said for trade associations. They do nothing for you but cost you money. Once I attained the licenses and designations to become a financial planner, the Financial Planners Association constantly sent me mail saying they had a discounted deal on membership fees for me each time. Now, I could smell bullshit from a mile away when it came to this because they wouldn't be sending me stuff in the mail, which cost money to do, if it didn't cost them something. If there wasn't the possibility of them getting some sort of return on those costs. So I called them up to ask what benefits came along with joining them. And really, all they were offering was a certificate that said I was a member that I could hang on my office wall. You don't need to pay fees to join these associations or spend money on travel to these networking events because Facebook and LinkedIn do all the networking for you. And they do a better job of connecting you with the people interested in your services than either pointless parties and professional associations. Avoid women at work. It's sad that it's come to this, but I must pass this wisdom on to you. With all the Me Too stories out there, it's too easy to be attacked and labeled a predator for even the most innocent of flirtations. A new social imperative has arisen in the workplace, and that imperative is that women must always feel comfortable there, along with the freedom to decide arbitrarily what is and is not comfortable. See, a long time ago, you could have met your wife while working alongside her, but those days are over, and they're gone forever. Now, even asking a woman at work what she does for fun is taken as sexual harassment. Sounds completely ridiculous and like I'm making it up, but I'm not. The sad reality is that even the most timid of advances or inquiries can make someone uncomfortable. And that's all that's necessary to report to HR. Today's women in the workplace have been indoctrinated in college, or earlier, that 95% of all males are secretly predators, and that they need to report anyone they suspect even an inkling of bad intentions from. Being male, we walk around everywhere with the presumption of bad intentions attached to us. It's been fed into the minds of society for the last 30 years, maybe even longer. They don't even need to have gone to college to be infected with this thinking. Just the movies they watch on TV networks made for women was enough to get them to believe every man is secretly evil. Notice how on the Lifetime movie network, the villain that abuses his wife is always a respectable member of society, like a doctor or a CEO. It doesn't matter how good your public image is. You're a male, and that makes you evil in society's eyes. All it takes is an accusation of harassment to be escorted out of the building in handcuffs. It doesn't even have to be true. It doesn't matter if you have a supportive alibi. It doesn't matter if you have eyewitnesses to back you up. The fempowerment mandate does not care. For this reason, even when I was working, I didn't even get into elevators alone with a woman. When you talk to them, keep it 100% work-related. Do not ever touch them unless they reach out for a handshake. With that, I'd try to turn it into a fist bump. Never say anything about their appearance, even if it's a compliment. It's strictly a business environment for you. Even if she likes you, you're not doing yourself any favors. For one, a woman that can get a guy at work interested in her ends up having her ego overinflated and your value deflated. She thinks she's so amazing that she can get any guy, or that you're desperate, and you'll take whatever option the universe throws at you. So if you get into a relationship with this woman, she won't treat you like the prize. Secondly, if you get into a relationship with her and end up breaking up, all it takes is an accusation to ruin your life and take away your work. You don't need to run that risk. You see, a reinvented man is the one who finds options outside his immediate social circle. Someone who doesn't count on cute girls getting a gig at his office, or his friends introducing him to one. He goes out of his comfort zone and finds her elsewhere. He does the cold approaches. He goes where the girls are. That's the man you'd rather be. Going nowhere is often what going right looks like. As much as I eschew the current job world, I do want to pass this one piece of wisdom on. No job is a bad job. All jobs are opportunities, and it's up to you to make the best of them. From my own personal experience, I absolutely hated every restaurant job I had. It was low-skilled, low pay, and I could be replaced at any moment. But they were the only jobs I could get. A restaurant was the only place that would hire me when I first started working, and because that was my only experience, only restaurants would hire me. I felt like a cage I could never break free from. But eventually I worked for the same restaurant long enough, and that showed future prospective employers that I was a loyal employee, showing up for work on time and obviously doing a satisfactory job because they didn't fire me over those years, despite how easy it is to replace a restaurant worker. Prospective employers like to see a stable work history. And if you've held on to a crappy job long enough, that shows off your tolerance, persistence, and ability to do undesirable tasks. When it feels like nothing is going right, when you keep showing up for the same soul-sucking shift and doing the same things over and over again, that's what it looks like when things are going right. Because they can't help but notice you doing just that. No matter how shitty the task is, you will only rise above it if you truly believe that it's not beneath you. When the best job you're offered still feels beneath you, it's natural to think to yourself, that job's for losers, not me. I'm a highly educated craftsman and deserve better. Meanwhile, the last loser that had that job got promoted to something else, something better after a year of that demeaning work. Because the fact of the matter is that everyone went to college and got a higher education. Back in the old days, it was a way to separate the achievers from the ordinary, but now that everyone does it, we're all ordinary. Patience is what matters the most when it comes to advancing at jobs and climbing the ladder. If you're doing your job and doing it well, you are advancing despite the fact that you're not seeing any signs of advancement. Because when you're there for a long time, your boss can't help but notice your loyalty. Further, if I'm not happy with my job, then it's my responsibility to find better work somewhere else or find a way to be happy at my current job. It's not my employer's job to make me happy. If I get off the clock after a bad day at work and just slam my car door shut saying, man, fuck this day, only to wake up the next day to do it again, it's all my fault. What I should be doing instead is rush home and search online endlessly looking for another place to work until I find something I can be happy with. Why waste the time complaining when it's so much easier and productive to do that instead? Play the game. In corporate jobs, you'll see firsthand the height of human stupidity, corporate politics. This is when you're clearly the most qualified person for the promotion, but don't get it because you don't hobnob, suck corporate dick, or do personal PR with the higher-ups. Those things require you put on an act and pretend to be something you're not. Someone who thinks the higher-ups are cool people. We are repelled at the thought of doing this behavior. No one likes a fake person, and more than that, no one likes being fake. I couldn't agree more, but I'm going to tell you to play the game. What you know doesn't matter as much as who you know and who you blow. It's sad, but that's just the way the world works. People only promote people they like. It's no different from how people vote for the presidential candidate that they want to have a beer with instead of voting for the guy that can actually do the job best. Corporate politics is a lot like actual politics. Poly means many. Ticks means blood-sucking parasites. It can really take a toll on your soul and sanity. And the way I handled this was I turned it into a game itself. I approached it like it was an acting challenge, a chance for me to actually live my dream of being an actor. See, there were people above me and beneath me that I despised, and none of them had any idea. There was a long list of people I didn't even like, and none of them ever knew they were on that list.
Thank you for listening to this free sample of the book, The Financial Red Pill by Cairo Copeland. If you enjoyed it and want to hear or read the rest, or want to listen to it free of ads, visit reinventideal.com/finance. The book is available on Kindle, paperback, and Audible at reinventideal.com/finance.